Captain Dae-hyun stared at the data screen for the 10th time that morning, his coffee growing cold in the zero-gravity cup beside him. The readings made no sense. According to every instrument on the research vessel Sejong, they were looking at absolutely nothing. Empty space stretched endlessly beyond Pluto's orbit just as it should, but the gravitational sensors told a different story entirely. Hye-jin, come look at this, he called to the physicist working at the next station. Her black hair floated around her face as she pushed off from her workstation and drifted over to his console. She studied the numbers, her eyes growing wider with each passing second. This can't be right. The gravitational pull here is enormous, but there's nothing visible causing it. Taemin, their chief engineer, looked up from the engine diagnostics he'd been running. What are you two whispering about over there? I'd have found something, Dae-hyun said, though he wasn't sure what exactly they had discovered. Something that shouldn't exist. For 3 months, the Sejong had been conducting routine surveys of the outer solar system. Earth's government wanted detailed maps of everything beyond Neptune, hoping to find new sources of rare minerals or perhaps suitable locations for deep space research stations. It was boring work, the kind of mission that career scientists took when they wanted steady pay without much excitement. But this was different. This was impossible. The Galactic Council had made it very clear where humanity stood in the cosmic order. They were newcomers, barely advanced enough to deserve recognition. The reptilian Vrex Empire controlled most of the Eastern Spiral Arm, with their massive fleets and energy weapons. The crystalline Nethys Collective dominated interstellar trade through their monopoly on quantum tunneling technology. Dozens of other species filled various niches in galactic society, each one far more advanced than Earth. Humanity had fusion drives that could barely reach 10% light speed. Their weapons were kinetic projectiles and basic energy beams. Their ships were thick, clunky metal constructions that required massive amounts of fuel for even short journeys. By galactic standards, they were practically using stone tools. Run the scan again? Hye-jin suggested. Maybe there's an error in the equipment. They ran it again, then a third time, then a fourth. The results never changed. Something with incredible mass existed in the empty space ahead of them, something that bent light around itself so perfectly that it remained completely invisible. I want to go closer, Dae-hyun decided. Taemin shook his head. Captain, if there's something that massive out there, getting too close could tear us apart. Then we'll approach slowly, very slowly. They spent the next week creeping toward the anomaly, taking measurements every few hundred kilometers. The gravitational field grew stronger, but it behaved strangely. Instead of the smooth, predictable pull of a planet or asteroid, this field seemed to pulse and shift. Sometimes it pushed instead of pulling. Sometimes it seemed to twist space itself into impossible shapes. It's not a black hole, Hye-jin announced after reviewing the data for the 100th time. Black holes don't behave like this. This is something else entirely. Like what? Taemin asked. I don't know. Something we've never seen before. That night, as the ship's artificial day cycle dimmed the lights, Dae-hyun found himself unable to sleep. He floated in his cabin, staring out the small porthole at the stars. Somewhere out there, invisible to every sensor they possessed except gravity detectors, something waited in the darkness. The next morning brought their breakthrough. Hye-jin had been running theoretical calculations all night trying to match their observations with known physics. She looked exhausted but excited when she called the others to her station. I think I know what we're looking at, she said, her voice barely containing her enthusiasm. Have you ever heard of dark matter? Of course, Dae-hyun replied. It's the stuff that holds galaxies together. Nobody's ever been able to detect it directly, though. That's because nobody's ever looked in the right way, Hye-jin continued. Dark matter doesn't interact with normal matter through electromagnetic forces. It only interacts through gravity. But what if we could change that? She showed them her calculations. According to her theory, the anomaly they discovered wasn't just dark matter. It was dark matter in an excited state, temporarily interacting with normal spacetime in ways that shouldn't be possible. If I'm right, she said, we're looking at a naturally occurring dark matter formation that's somehow become visible to our gravity sensors. And if it's possible for this to happen naturally, then maybe we can learn to make it happen artificially. The implications hit Dae-hyun like a physical blow. If humanity could learn to manipulate dark matter, they wouldn't just be playing with advanced technology, they'd be working with the fundamental structure of the universe itself. They spent another month studying the anomaly, taking careful measurements and running countless experiments. Slowly, they began to understand what they were seeing. The dark matter formation wasn't just sitting there inactive. It was moving, flowing, almost like a slow-motion river of invisible substance that bent space and time around itself. More importantly, it was responding to their presence. Every time they moved their ship, the formation shifted slightly. Every time they activated their engines, it pulsed. Somehow, their conventional technology was affecting something that shouldn't even exist in the same dimensional space. We need to get this information back to Earth, Dae-hyun finally decided. This is too big for a research vessel crew to handle alone. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, the three of them refined their data, double-checked their calculations, and prepared a presentation that would change everything. They knew that what they'd discovered could revolutionize human technology, but they also knew that the wrong people getting this information could be catastrophic. When they finally docked at Luna Station, Admiral Boram was waiting for them. She was a stern woman with gray hair and steel-colored eyes, known throughout the Earth Defense Force for her strategic brilliance and absolute dedication to humanity's survival. She listened to their presentation without interruption, asking only a few pointed questions about their methodology and the reliability of their data. "How certain are you about these findings?" she asked when they finished. "Completely certain," Hee-jin replied. "We've checked everything multiple times. The math is solid." Admiral Boram nodded slowly. "Then we have work to do. This information is now classified at the highest level. None of you will discuss this with anyone outside of the project team I'm about to assemble." Within days, the best scientists and engineers in the solar system were quietly reassigned to a new research facility, hidden deep within the asteroid belt. They called it Project Shadowbind, and its goal was simple: learn to weaponize dark matter manipulation before anyone else in the galaxy realized what humanity had discovered. Dae-hyun found himself promoted to project coordinator, working directly under Admiral Boram's command. Hye-jin became the chief theoretical physicist, while Taemin led the engineering team responsible for turning their theories into practical technology. The work was unlike anything humanity had ever attempted. They weren't just building new machines or discovering new energy sources. They were learning to manipulate the invisible framework that held the entire universe together. Progress was slow at first, measured in tiny successes and countless failures, but gradually they began to understand. Dark matter wasn't just invisible mass filling the spaces between stars. It was a vast, interconnected web that connected every part of the galaxy. Learning to touch that web, to make it respond to human will, opened possibilities that no other species had ever imagined. The first breakthrough came when they successfully created a small, dark matter field in the laboratory. It lasted only seconds and affected an area smaller than a coin, but it proved that their theories were correct. Humans could manipulate dark matter. The second breakthrough came when they realized that manipulating dark matter didn't just affect gravity. It affected the fundamental interactions between matter and energy. A ship surrounded by a properly tuned dark matter field could become selectively intangible, passing through solid objects while still being able to interact with whatever it chose to affect. Admiral Boram smiled for the first time since the project began when they showed her the test results. "Gentlemen, ladies," she said, "I believe we're about to change the balance of power in the galaxy." 18 months after the discovery in the Kuiper Belt, Commander Jin Woo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Shadow, watching the impossible ship materialize around him. The walls seemed to be made of crystallized darkness, surfaces that absorbed light and sensor radiation without reflecting anything back. Through the transparent sections of the hull, space looked different somehow, as if reality itself bent around the vessel. "All systems green, Commander," reported his tactical officer, a young woman named Su Jin whose calm voice never wavered even during the most stressful simulations. Dark matter field generators are stable. Selective tangibility systems are online. Weapons ready. Jinwoo nodded, trying to project confidence he didn't entirely feel. The Soul's Shadow was the first operational dark matter warship, the culmination of Project Shadowbind's revolutionary research. Every component had been tested individually, but this would be their first real combat mission. Behind them, 5 more ships of identical design waited in formation. The Busan's Whisper, Daegu's Hope, Incheon Rising, Ulsan's Edge, and Gwangju's Strike formed humanity's first dark matter squadron. Each ship carried a crew of 40, the best pilots and technicians Earth could provide. They had trained in simulators and small-scale tests, but today they would face actual alien warships. The mission was simple in concept, but terrifying in execution. Vrex battle groups had been raiding human colonies in the Kepler 442 system for 6 months, strip mining planets for rare elements and enslaving any colonist who survived their attacks. The Earth Defense Force's conventional ships had tried to intervene twice, and both times they had been destroyed with contemptuous ease. Vrex technology was centuries ahead of standard human equipment. Their battle cruisers carried energy shields that could stop kinetic projectiles and plasma cannons that could melt through the heaviest armor humanity could produce. Their ships were faster, more maneuverable, and far better armed than anything Earth had built before the dark matter breakthrough. But the Vrex had never faced an enemy that could phase in and out of normal space. Long-range sensors are detecting the target, announced the sensor operator, a thin man named Kiwoo who had once been an astronomy professor before volunteering for military service. The Vrex battlecruiser Fang of Dominion is holding position near the 3rd planet. It's alone, probably confident that human ships can't threaten it. Jinwoo smiled grimly. The Vrex captain was about to learn how quickly the balance of power could shift. "Take us to dark matter phase," he ordered. "Approach Vector Alpha 7. Maintain stealth until we're within weapons range." The transition was unlike anything the crew had experienced during training. One moment they were floating in normal space, visible to any sensor array within light years. The next moment they existed partially outside reality itself, gliding through the dark matter web that connected every part of the galaxy. Through the hull's transparent sections, the stars looked different. They seemed closer somehow, as if the ship were viewing them through a lens that compressed distance. Space itself appeared to ripple and flow around them like a vast ocean of invisible energy. "We're undetectable now," Kiwoo reported. "Even our own long-range sensors can't track us when we're in this phase state." The journey to the inner system took 12 hours instead of the usual 3 days. Dark matter phase allowed them to ignore most of the conventional limitations of space travel. They passed through asteroid fields without slowing down, their selective tangibility letting solid objects flow through the hull like water. "Target acquired," Su Jin announced as they approached Kepler 442c. "The Fang of Dominion is exactly where our intelligence reports indicated. It's a Vrex heavy cruiser approximately 800 meters long. Energy shields are active. It appears to be scanning the planet's surface." Jinwoo studied the tactical display. The Vrex ship was massive compared to the Soul's Shadow, easily 3 times larger and probably 10 times more heavily armed. Under normal circumstances, engaging it would be suicide. But these weren't normal circumstances. "Signal the squadron," he ordered. "We'll attack in diamond formation. Remember, we phase back to normal space inside their shields, hit them hard and fast, then phase out before they can respond." The other 5 ships acknowledged the order, their own dark matter fields creating barely detectable ripples in space-time. Jinwoo took a deep breath, knowing that the next few minutes would determine whether humanity's new technology worked as advertised, or whether they were about to become the galaxy's shortest-lived military innovation. "All ships, prepare for combat phase transition on my mark," he said into the communication system. "Remember, we get exactly 1 chance at surprise. Make it count." The Soul's Shadow dropped out of dark matter phase directly inside the Vrex battlecruiser's defensive shields. For a brief moment, both ships occupied the same space, their hull materials existing in different dimensional phases. Then the human ship's selective tangibility system activated, making it solid while keeping the wreck ship's defenses temporarily intangible. The effect was devastating. The Soul's shadow materialized inside the enemy's shield perimeter, its dark matter cannons already charged and ready to fire. The weapons didn't launch projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they created localized zones where dark matter crushed normal matter out of existence, leaving perfectly spherical voids in the target. 3 holes appeared in the Fang of Dominion's hull before the wreck's crew even realized they were under attack. Atmosphere rushed out into space as emergency bulkheads tried to seal the breaches. The alien battlecruiser's mighty weapons swiveled to target the human ship, but their energy beams passed harmlessly through the Soul's shadow's partially phased hull. "Direct hits," Sujin reported with barely contained excitement. "Enemy shields are fluctuating. Their weapons can't lock onto us while we're in combat phase." The other 5 human ships materialized around the wreck's cruiser like ghostly predators, their dark matter weapons carving through the enemy's armor as if it were paper. The Fang of Dominion tried to maneuver, tried to bring its massive plasma cannons to bear, but fighting enemies that could selectively interact with normal matter was like trying to punch shadows. In 4 minutes, it was over. The wreck's battle cruiser drifted dead in space, its hull riddled with perfectly round holes where dark matter weapons had simply erased portions of its structure. Emergency pods launched from the dying ship, carrying survivors who would return to their empire, with stories of impossible human technology. "All ships report minimal damage," announced the communications officer, a steady woman named Hirin who had maintained contact with the squadron throughout the engagement. The Guangzhou strike took a glancing hit from a plasma cannon, but their armor held. Jin Woo stared at the tactical display, hardly believing what he was seeing. They had just destroyed a Vrex battlecruiser without losing a single human life. The most powerful military force in the Eastern Spiral Arm had been defeated by ships that shouldn't have been able to exist. "Send a message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Mission accomplished. The Fang of Dominion has been neutralized. We're proceeding to secure the colony sites." As the dark matter squadron moved toward the planet's surface, Jin Woo wondered what the rest of the galaxy would think when news of this battle spread. For thousands of years, humanity had been dismissed as a primitive species barely worthy of attention. They were the newcomers who built clunky metal ships and fought with kinetic weapons while advanced civilizations manipulated space-time itself. But now, everything had changed. Earth scientists had discovered something that no other species had ever mastered, a way to manipulate the universe's fundamental structure that made conventional weapons and defenses obsolete. On Kepler 442c, human colonists emerged from underground, shelters where they had hidden during months of Rex occupation. They looked up at the sky with wonder as the dark matter warships descended, their impossible hulls shimmering with absorbed starlight. "This is Commander Jin Woo of the Earth Defense Force," he broadcast to the planet. "You are no longer under alien occupation. Humanity's fleet is here." The celebration on the planet's surface was audible over the communication channels. Families reunited, children who had never seen Earth ships before pointed at the sky in amazement, and colony administrators began the complex process of rebuilding their devastated communities. But Jin Woo knew this was just the beginning. News of the battle would reach the Galactic Council within days, carried by Vrex survivors and human diplomatic channels alike. The galaxy's major powers would demand explanations for technology that shouldn't exist. Earth's ambassador, a skilled diplomat named Subin, was probably already preparing for the most important negotiations in human history. The balance of power had shifted dramatically, and every alien civilization would want to know how the galaxy's most primitive species had suddenly developed weapons that could destroy their most advanced warships. "Set course for Earth," Jin Woo ordered as the squadron finished securing the colony world. "I have a feeling we're going to be needed at home very soon." The 6 dark matter warships faded back into phase space, becoming invisible to every sensor in the galaxy. Behind them, the wreckage of the Fang of Dominion continued to drift in orbit. Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo stood in the command center of the Incheon Rising, watching status reports flow in from across the galaxy. 2 weeks had passed since the destruction of the Fang of Dominion, and the ripple effects were spreading through every corner of known space. The massive dreadnought served as the flagship of Earth's new dark matter fleet, a vessel so large it could carry entire squadrons of smaller ships within its shadowy hull. "Report from the Diplomatic Corps," announced his aide, Captain Yejin, as she approached with a datapad. "The Nethys Collective has withdrawn all their trade vessels from human space. Their quantum tunneling networks have gone completely offline." Kyung-soo frowned at the news. The crystalline Nethys had controlled interstellar commerce for over 2,000 years through their monopoly on faster-than-light travel. For them to completely shut down their networks suggested they were either preparing for war or hiding from something they feared more than lost profits. "What about the Vrex Empire?" he asked. "All expansion fleets have been recalled to their core worlds," Yejin replied. "Intelligence reports suggest they're having emergency sessions with their war council. The survivors from the Fang of Dominion have been giving testimony about our capabilities." Through the transparent aluminum windows of the command center, Kyung-soo could see other ships of the dark matter fleet. Dozens of vessels hung in space around Earth, their hulls seeming to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. Each ship represented a quantum leap in human technology, capable of feats that had been impossible just months before. But the fleet admiral was troubled by reports from Dr. Yoon-hee, the physicist who had taken over the theoretical research division after Hyejin's promotion to the weapons development team. Her latest findings suggested that humanity's new technology came with unexpected consequences. "Sir," called out the communications officer from across the command center, "we're receiving a priority message from the research station at Alpha Centauri. Dr. Yoon-hee says she needs to speak with you immediately." The holographic display activated, showing the scientist's worried face. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't slept in days. Behind her, banks of sophisticated monitoring equipment displayed readings that Kyung-soo didn't pretend to understand. "Admiral, we have a problem," she began without preamble. "The dark matter manipulations aren't just affecting local space. Every time we use the technology, we're sending ripples through the galaxy's entire dark matter web. Explain it in terms a military officer can understand," Kyung-soo requested. "Think of dark matter as a vast spider web connecting every part of the galaxy," Dr. Yoon-hee continued. "When we manipulate it locally, we're plucking the web. Those vibrations travel outward at incredible speeds, potentially alerting things that live in dark matter space to our presence." The implications hit Kyung-soo immediately. If their technology was broadcasting humanity's location and capabilities to unknown entities, they might have already attracted attention they weren't prepared to handle. "What kind of things live in dark matter space?" he asked, though he suspected he wouldn't like the answer. "We don't know yet. But our deep space monitoring stations are detecting massive structures that exist only in the dark matter dimension, cities or possibly ships far larger than anything any known civilization has ever built." Before Kyung-soo could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the command center. The tactical officer, a veteran named Min-suk, called out urgent information from his station. "Admiral, we're getting reports from Captain Min-ho aboard the Busan's Whisper. His reconnaissance mission to the Galactic Rim has encountered something unusual." The main display switched to show the feed from Captain Min-ho's ship. The Busan's Whisper was one of the smallest vessels in the dark matter fleet, designed for long-range scouting missions. Its crew of 20 specialized in gathering intelligence from the most remote regions of space. Captain Min-ho's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. Behind him, his bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. "Fleet Command, we found something extraordinary," he reported. "We're transmitting sensor data now, but you're not going to believe what we're seeing." The tactical display lit up with new information as the Busan's Whisper transmitted its findings. At first, Kyung-soo thought there was an error in the data. The readings showed structures in dark matter space that dwarfed entire star systems, geometric patterns that stretched across light years. "These aren't natural formations," Min-ho continued. "They're clearly artificial, but they exist entirely within the dark matter dimension. We tried to get closer for a better look, but something pushed us away. Not violently, but firmly. like a parent stopping a child from touching something dangerous. Dr. Yoon-hee's voice came through the communication system from Alpha Centauri. Admiral, I'm seeing the same structures on our long-range sensors. Whatever built those things, they've been watching us since we first activated our dark matter technology. The command center fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. Humanity had thought they were the first species to master dark matter manipulation, but clearly other intelligences had been working with it for far longer. The question was whether these entities saw Earth's new technology as a threat or an opportunity. Captain Minho, withdraw to a safe distance and continue monitoring, Kyung-soo ordered. Dr. Yoon-hee, I want a full analysis of those structures, transmitted to Fleet Command immediately. Over the following days, the picture became clearer and more disturbing. The dark matter entities weren't just building structures in their dimensional space. They were moving, gathering, responding to humanity's use of their technology. Deep space monitoring stations detected massive migrations as beings the size of continents shifted position throughout the galaxy. Even more concerning were the reports from Earth's diplomatic corps. Ambassador Subin transmitted updates from her meetings with representatives of the major galactic powers, and the news was universally troubling. The Galactic Council is in emergency session, she reported during a secure transmission. But it's not about our new technology. Every species with advanced sensors has detected the movement in dark matter space. They're terrified. Terrified. Of what? Kyung-soo asked. The Eternal Archive has awakened, Subin replied. According to the older species, it's an artificial intelligence that's been dormant for millions of years. The last time it was active, it witnessed the fall of the predecessor civilization. Kyung-soo had heard legends of the predecessors, an ancient race that had supposedly ruled the galaxy before any of the current species evolved. Most experts considered them mythology, but if the archive was real and had been around for millions of years, it might have first-hand knowledge of galactic history that no one else possessed. The archive wants to meet with us, Subin continued. It's requesting a formal diplomatic contact with Earth's representatives, but Admiral, there's something else. The other species are pulling back from their borders, consolidating their fleets around their home worlds. They're preparing for something big. That night, as Kyung-soo reviewed the latest intelligence reports in his private quarters aboard the Incheon Rising, he found himself staring out at the stars with new understanding. Humanity had stumbled onto technology that connected them to beings older than recorded history. Their simple desire to defend their colonies had attracted the attention of entities that existed on a scale beyond human comprehension. The galaxy's major powers weren't just surprised by Earth's new capabilities. They were afraid of what those capabilities might have awakened in the dark spaces between stars. Species that had dominated interstellar politics for millennia were suddenly looking over their shoulders, wondering what ancient forces they had, forgotten in their rise to power. Captain Minho's latest report arrived as Kyung-soo was preparing for sleep. The Busan's Whisper had detected new activity in dark matter space, structures that were clearly moving toward the inner galaxy. Whatever the dark matter entities were planning, they were no longer content to observe from the rim of known space. Fleet Command, this is Captain Minho, the transmission began. The dark matter structures are changing position. They're heading toward the core worlds and they're moving fast. Estimated time of arrival at Earth space is approximately 72 hours. Kyung-soo activated the ship's emergency communication system, linking him to every vessel in the dark matter fleet and to Earth Command itself. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo. We are now at full alert status. Prepare for possible contact with unknown entities from dark matter space. All crew members are restricted to duty stations until further notice. He paused, looking out at the stars one more time before continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, we may have opened a door that we're not prepared to walk through, but we're going to face whatever comes next with the same courage that got us this far. Humanity has always adapted to new challenges, and we're not going to stop now. As alerts sounded throughout the fleet and Earth's defense systems came online, Kyung-soo wondered if their species had just taken its first steps toward joining the galaxy's true powers, or if they had accidentally declared war on entities older than imagination. Commander Aaron had never experienced silence like this before. For 3 weeks after the dark matter entities began their journey toward the inner galaxy, every alien civilization had gone completely quiet. Trade routes that had operated for thousands of years simply stopped functioning. Diplomatic channels that usually buzzed with constant communication carried nothing but automated distress signals. The Diegu's Hope, under her command, had been selected for humanity's first official diplomatic mission since the crisis began. Unlike the military vessels of the dark matter fleet, her ship had been equipped with advanced communication arrays and cultural translation systems. If contact was to be made with whatever was approaching from the galactic rim, it would likely happen aboard her vessel. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," announced Lieutenant Junho from the communication station. "It's not coming from any known source, and the signal is using frequencies we've never seen before." Aaron moved to the central command console, her crew gathering around her with expressions of nervous anticipation. After weeks of waiting and wondering, something was finally happening. "Put it on the main display," she ordered, the holographic projector activated, but instead of showing a face or a typical communication interface, it displayed what appeared to be a vast library. Shelves stretched infinitely in all directions, filled with crystalline data storage devices that pulsed with internal light. At the center of this impossible space, a figure waited. The being was humanoid in basic shape, but clearly artificial. Its body appeared to be constructed from the same crystalline material as the library shelves, with patterns of light flowing beneath its transparent surface, like electronic circuits made visible. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of eons. "I am the eternal archive," it said, the words somehow translating themselves directly into the minds of everyone on the bridge. "I am the keeper of the galaxy's memory, the repository of all that has been learned and lost. I have awakened because your species has touched something that requires explanation." Aaron found her voice, though it took considerable effort to speak in the presence of something so ancient and vast. "I am Commander Aaron of the Earth vessel Daigu's Hope. We represent humanity, and we're honored by your contact." "Honor is premature," the archive replied. "Your species has begun manipulating dark matter without understanding what you are truly touching. Every activation of your technology tears small holes in the cosmic memory bank. Eons of recorded history are bleeding through into normal space." The implications of this statement hit Aaron like a physical blow. Humanity's greatest technological achievement was apparently damaging something fundamental to the universe itself. "We didn't know," she said. "Our scientists discovered the technology by accident. We were only trying to defend ourselves." "Intent matters less than consequence," the archive continued. "The dark matter web contains the record of every civilization that has ever existed, every great work and terrible catastrophe, every moment of triumph and despair. When you manipulate it carelessly, you risk erasing history that can never be recovered." The holographic display shifted, showing images that took Aaron's breath away. She saw the rise and fall of civilizations that had existed millions of years before humanity evolved. Crystal cities that spanned entire continents, organic, ships the size of moons, beings of pure energy dancing between the stars, all of it preserved in the galaxy's dark matter memory. "But there is something else," the archive said, its crystalline form pulsing with what might have been curiosity. "Your approach to dark matter manipulation is different from any species I have observed before. Others have tried to dominate it, to force it to serve their purposes. You have learned to work with it as a partner." Before Aaron could respond, new alerts began sounding throughout her ship. Captain Wonshik, commanding the experimental vessel Ulsan's Edge, appeared on a secondary communication channel. "Commander Aaron, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching Earth space. Whatever's coming, it's bigger than anything we've ever seen." Through the transparent sections of the Daigu's Hope's hull, space itself began to ripple and flow. Reality seemed to bend as something enormous pushed through from dark matter space into normal dimensions. The entity that emerged defied human comprehension. It was a structure the size of a small moon, but it moved with purposeful intelligence. Its surface appeared to be composed of crystallized time itself, showing fragments of past events like windows into history. Smaller beings, each one still larger than Earth's biggest cities, accompanied the primary entity as it took position near the outer edge of the solar system. That is the prime consciousness, the archive explained, though its voice now carried undertones of reverence. It is one of the original guardians of dark matter space, a being that has existed since the universe was young. It has come to judge whether your species deserves to continue existing. The weight of this pronouncement settled over Aaron's bridge crew like a physical presence. Humanity's first contact with truly ancient intelligence might also be their last. What kind of judgment? She managed to ask. The kind that determines whether your civilization joins the ranks of those recorded in the cosmic memory, or whether it becomes a cautionary tale about species that could not handle the responsibilities that came with advanced technology. Captain, Wanshik's voice crackled over the communication system again. All ships, this is Wanshik aboard the Olsen's Edge. I'm receiving direct communication from the entity. It wants to speak with a human representative, but the conversation needs to take place in dark matter space itself. Erin felt her blood turn cold. Dark matter space was theoretically survivable for humans using their new technology. But no one had ever attempted to exist there for extended periods. The risks were unknown and potentially fatal. I'll go, Wanshik continued before anyone could object. The Ulsan's Edge was designed for experimental missions. If anyone's going to survive extended exposure to dark matter space, it's us. Captain, the risks are too great, Erin protested. We don't know what prolonged exposure to that environment might do to human physiology. We don't have a choice, Wanshik replied. This entity is judging our entire species. If someone doesn't represent us, it might decide we're too dangerous to allow to continue existing. The archive's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been approval. The human-designated Wanshik speaks with wisdom. The prime consciousness will not communicate through normal space interfaces. To understand your species, it must examine a representative directly in the dimension where truth cannot be hidden. Erin watched through her ship's sensors as the Olsen's Edge began its transition into dark matter space. The experimental vessel's hull became translucent, then transparent, then seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Within moments, it had completely faded from normal space, leaving only ripples in the cosmic background radiation to mark its passage. Contact established. Wanshik's voice came through on a channel that seemed to bypass normal physics entirely. I'm approaching the prime consciousness now. The scale of this thing is impossible to describe. It's like flying toward a mountain made of living thought. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then Wanshik's communication resumed, but his voice carried strange harmonics as if he were speaking from inside an echo chamber the size of a galaxy. It's in my mind, he reported. The prime consciousness is showing me the history of the universe from its perspective. I can see the birth and death of civilizations, the rise and fall of species that never developed space travel, the great catastrophes that reset galactic development every few million years. Erin gripped the arms of her command chair, helpless to do anything but listen as one man represented the hopes and fears of humanity itself. It's asking me about our intentions, Wanshik continued. It wants to understand why humans developed dark matter technology and what we plan to do with it. I'm trying to explain that we only wanted to protect ourselves, that we never intended to damage the cosmic memory. The pause that followed seemed to last forever. Then Wanshik's voice returned, filled with wonder and barely controlled excitement. It's showing me something incredible. The cosmic memory isn't just a record of what happened. It's alive, constantly growing and changing. And apparently, human consciousness interacts with it differently than any other species they've encountered. Different? How? Erin asked. We don't just access the memory, we add to it. Every time we use dark matter technology, we're unconsciously contributing our own experiences and perspectives to the galactic record. The prime consciousness says that no other species has ever done this. The communication channel filled with harmonics that sounded almost like music, as if reality itself were singing. When Wanshik spoke again, his voice carried an odd mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The judgment has been made, he announced, but it's not what any of us expected. Captain Wanshik floated in a space that existed between dimensions, surrounded by the impossible presence of the prime consciousness. The ancient entity didn't communicate with words or images, but by flooding his mind directly with knowledge and experience. In the span of heartbeats, he lived through the entire history of the galaxy from perspectives no human had ever imagined. He saw the first civilizations that had discovered dark matter manipulation, species whose names had been forgotten for millions of years. Each one had approached the cosmic memory web with arrogance, seeking to use it as a tool for conquest or control. Each one had ultimately destroyed itself when the Guardians decided they posed too great a threat to the universe's historical record. But mixed with these cautionary tales, Wanshik experienced something else. He felt the prime consciousness's curiosity about humanity's unique approach to the technology. Where other species had tried to dominate dark matter, humans had learned to dance with it. Their technology wasn't just advanced, it was intuitive, treating the cosmic web as a partner rather than a resource to be exploited. "Your species puzzles us," the prime consciousness communicated, its thoughts appearing directly in Wanshik's mind. "You manipulate dark matter with techniques we have never observed, yet you do so with a restraint that suggests wisdom beyond your apparent development level." Wanshik struggled to form a coherent response while his consciousness was flooded with cosmic perspectives. "We didn't set out to be different. We just tried to work with what we found instead of fighting against it." The entity's attention focused on him with intensity that felt like standing in the beam of a star. "Show us your species' nature. Let us examine the thoughts and motivations that drive humanity's actions." What followed was the most intimate violation Wanshik had ever experienced, yet also strangely comforting. The prime consciousness sifted through his memories, examining not just his personal experiences but the cultural and evolutionary history that had shaped human development. It saw humanity's wars and achievements, their art and music, their endless drive to explore and understand the universe around them. More importantly, it examined humanity's capacity for growth and change. Wanshik felt the entity's surprise as it discovered how quickly humans could adapt their behavior when presented with new information, how readily they could abandon destructive practices when shown better alternatives. "Remarkable," the prime consciousness observed. "Most species that develop dark matter manipulation do so through technological advancement alone. Your people have developed it through a combination of scientific discovery and intuitive understanding. This suggests evolutionary potential we have not encountered before." Through their connection, Wanshik became aware of other presences observing the exchange. Ancient guardians from across the galaxy, beings that existed primarily in dark matter space, watched as humanity was judged by standards that had been applied to countless civilizations over millions of years. But he also sensed something else, a growing realization among the cosmic entities that this evaluation was different from those that had come before. Humanity wasn't just another species that had stumbled onto dangerous technology. They were something new in the galaxy's long history. "Captain Wanshik," came Admiral Boram's voice through the communication channel that somehow connected dark matter space to normal reality. "We're seeing massive energy fluctuations throughout the solar system. Whatever's happening where you are, it's affecting space-time on a scale we've never measured before." Wanshik tried to respond, but the prime consciousness was showing him something that drove all other thoughts from his mind. He was seeing Earth and its solar system from the perspective of the cosmic memory web, watching as humanity's dark matter technology created patterns of interaction that no other species had ever achieved. Every human ship, every activation of their technology, added threads to the galaxy's historical record. But unlike the crude manipulations of previous civilizations, humanity's approach was creating new connections, linking previously separate sections of the cosmic memory in ways that strengthened the overall structure. "Your species is not just using the dark matter web," the prime consciousness explained. "You are unconsciously improving it, making it more robust and more complete. This is unprecedented." The implications hit Wanshik like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just developed advanced technology, they had evolved in a way that made them natural partners with the universe's fundamental information storage system. "What does this mean for us?" he managed to ask. "It means you face a choice that no other species has ever been offered," the entity replied. You can continue developing your technology with our guidance, becoming guardians of the cosmic memory itself. Or you can choose to remain as you are, limited to your current understanding but free from the responsibilities that come with true cosmic awareness. Through the communication channel, Wanshik heard Admiral Boram's voice again. Captain, Earth Command is showing incredible readings from your location. It looks like reality itself is being rewritten around you. Wanshik realized that the choice wasn't just his to make. This decision would affect all of humanity, determining whether they remained a single planet species with limited dark matter technology or evolved into something far greater and more responsible. I need to consult with my people, he told the Prime Consciousness. This isn't a decision I can make alone. We understand, but know that time is limited. The damage to the cosmic memory continues with each use of your current technology. Either you accept the responsibility of guardianship, or we must limit your access to dark matter manipulation to prevent further harm. The threat was clear, but Wanshik sensed it wasn't made with malice. The ancient entities genuinely wanted humanity to succeed, but they couldn't allow the cosmic memory to be damaged by well-intentioned ignorance. Admiral Boram, he said into the communication channel, I need you to make the hardest decision in human history. The entities here are offering us a choice between becoming cosmic guardians or having our technology permanently limited. Explain. The terms, came Boram's immediate response. Wanshik shared what he had learned, describing the responsibilities and opportunities that came with true membership among the galaxy's elder species. He explained how humanity's unique approach to dark matter had impressed beings millions of years old, but also how their continued development would require accepting duties that would fundamentally change their civilization. The pause that followed seemed to last hours, though Wanshik's sense of time had become unreliable in dark matter space. Finally, Admiral Boram's voice returned, carrying the weight of a decision that would echo through history. Captain Wanshik, transmit our response to the entities. Humanity accepts the responsibility of cosmic guardianship. We choose growth over limitation, knowledge over ignorance, even if it means changing who we are as a species. But before Wanshik could relay the message, Boram continued with words that surprised even him. However, we request the right to prove our worthiness through our actions rather than just our words. Effective immediately, I'm ordering all dark matter fleet vessels to shut down their systems simultaneously. We'll demonstrate our commitment to responsible development by voluntarily limiting our own power. The gambit was breathtaking in its audacity. Admiral Boram was betting humanity's future on their ability to impress cosmic entities through an act of unprecedented restraint. Throughout human space, the crews of dozens of dark matter warships received the shutdown order with shock and confusion. They were being asked to make themselves completely defenseless at the moment when their species faced judgment by beings older than imagination. But they obeyed. One by one, Earth's most advanced ships powered down their dark matter systems, returning to normal space where they could be detected and attacked by any hostile force in the galaxy. The effect on the Prime Consciousness was immediate and profound. Wanshik felt its astonishment as the cosmic entity observed humanity voluntarily abandoning the very technology that had brought them to galactic attention. Unprecedented, it communicated, and for the first time Wanshik detected what might have been approval in its vast thoughts. No species has ever chosen restraint when offered power. Your people demonstrate wisdom that justifies our hopes for your development. The space around Wanshik began to change, reality reshaping itself as the Prime Consciousness prepared to implement its decision. Through the cosmic memory web, he could sense other ancient guardians throughout the galaxy, all of them focusing their attention on humanity, with something approaching excitement. The judgment is made, the Prime Consciousness announced, its words somehow reaching every human in the solar system simultaneously. Humanity will be granted full membership among the cosmos's guardian species, with all the privileges and responsibilities that such status entails. When Wanshik finally returned to normal space aboard the Ulsan's Edge, he found a galaxy that had been transformed. The ancient entities had not just judged humanity worthy of survival, They had elevated them to a position that no species had achieved in millions of years. Admiral Boram, now renamed Admiral of the Cosmic Guard, received new orders from Earth Command.